Are we recording? Oh yeah. Hi, my name's Jenna. This is
Shannon.
And we're going to do a very short end of day restorative practice. So the goal today is this is something you can do when you've maybe had a long day at the office or a long day running errands or whatever it is you're doing to really center and ground. So to start, we're going to start in child's pose. So child's pose is going to have you come to your knees and press the hips back to rest on the ankles or heels. There's a couple variations. If this is too much to keep the knees together for traditional child's pose, just take the knees wide. The goal here is to be able to sink into the floor and just lengthen out your spine. So imagine your tailbone is getting longer and your hands are melting into the floor. Try to come to your breath if you haven't been there already. And just imagine the space between your chest and the floor becoming smaller and smaller. On the next inhale that makes sense, slowly, moving intentionally, start to bring the hands under the shoulders and start to work the knees closer underneath the hips. You want to be able to press into the floor and find that your shoulders are truly centered over your wrists. Try to find neutral spine, so find length from the tailbone to the crown of the head. We're going to start some cat-cows first, so that just means inhale, drop the belly down, roll the shoulders down the back, and angle the tailbone. Shine the heart forward. On the exhale, starting with the pelvis, roll and undulate the spine forward, rounding through the shoulder blades, pushing the floor away. Cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, find the baby back bend. Cat. And exhale, roll back through cat. For another variation, especially if you've been typing, texting, any of those things we're not supposed to do with our hands, we're going to start to add some lateral movement to this move. So inhale, drop the belly and press the heart ahead of the wrists. You'll feel a big stretch through the backs of the arms. And then exhale, roll the spine back, sit the hips to the heels, and find a high child's pose. Push the hands into the ground. Inhale, bring the chest forward, ahead of the wrist, stretching out the backs of the arms, rolling the shoulders down the back. And then exhale, come back through high cat child's pose. Take a couple more rounds of this. Listen to what you need. Make sure that there's no tension remaining anywhere in the hips or in the spine. That way you can be set for the rest of your practice. The next time you're back in child's pose, you're going to start to bring the chest forward and come all the way down to your belly. The hands will be naturally under your shoulders. You're just going to move them ahead, make a connection to your mat or the floor, and let the elbows rest underneath the shoulders for Sphinx pose. One of my favorite ways to make Sphinx pose more intense, in a good way, is to roll the shoulders down the back and start to shine the heart forward. Connect your palms to the ground and isometrically pull the wrists towards the waist as you feel the front of your body lengthen. Try to breathe belly into the floor. Let your low body be soft, top to the feet simply sitting on the mat. Try to slow down everything but the connection of your breath to the floor. Keep rolling the shoulder blades down the back. Take 3 more breaths here. Continuing to pull gently the wrists as if they could come to meet the wrists, dragging on the ground, creating more length through the front of the body. After that third exhale, you'll just start to turn the elbows out, let the hands come to rest on each other. Forehead comes to the back of the hands, crocodile pose, just to release the little bit of compression in the low back. You can start to rock the hips back and forth if that feels good, or you can just lay still and observe the difference between Sphinx and crocodile. When you're ready, you'll start to take the left hand out straight from the shoulder. You want to grip the floor. I would recommend, again, connecting to the ground. And you'll start to press with the right hand just below the right shoulder to lift the right hip up and over the left leg. Maybe the right foot comes to rest behind, or maybe it just kind of hovers. You want to make sure the head and neck are relaxing for scorpion arm. The most important thing you can do is breathe and relax the chest and draw the shoulder blades down the back as you both twist and lengthen the spine. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. If you feel as your arm is getting more surrender, you always have the option to use the right hand to rotate the chest ever so slightly, but really don't push much past your edge. If you have the flexibility, the upper arm could always come back to half bind as well, depending on where your practice is today. Take 2 more breaths here. To come out of this pose, reduce the pressure on the right hand as you start to roll the right hip down. Come all the way flat to the mat first, and then sort of like walk the fingers in to go back under the left shoulder. Take any moves you need to relax that arm. Sometimes little like half baby snow angels can feel good, just flexing and bending the elbow, whatever you need to just reduce all of that tension from that big stretch. And then when you're ready, the right arm will go straight out from the right shoulder, and you'll take this on the other side. Use the left hand to support you as you rotate the chest open, relax the head and neck down. Left foot comes behind the right thigh. Try to breathe both into the twist and find length, tailbone to ground. Modifications are available whenever you're ready. If you'd like to take the half bind, or continue to press into the left hand, rotating the chest more open. Take 2 more breaths in. Come out the way you came in, starting to reduce the pressure on the left hand, closing the left hip down to the ground, and then tiptoe the fingers back in. Take any movements that you need to relax that big stretch on the arm and chest, maybe half snow angels, maybe just flexings of the arms, and relax that down. When you're ready, you'll start to press yourself back to your child's pose. If possible, you can start to bring the knees in closer together or stay with the wide leg version if you'd like, and just sort of soften down. You should feel a big difference in the arms from the work we've already done, so really press the hands long into the ground and then soften the chest into the floor. Roll the shoulder blades down the back and relax. 2 more breaths. When you're ready, start to press yourself up, coming either to knees or all the way to sit down on your sit bones, wherever you need to get there. We're going to take the soles of the feet together for a modification of Baddha Konasana. So the closer your heels are to your sit bones, the more intense it will be. So we're looking to kind of make a wide diamond shape. Ideally, it's the distance that if your forehead could touch your feet, it's almost to your heels or in the arch of your foot. So inhale, lengthen the spine. Press the tailbone down and fold with a flat spine as long as possible, wrapping the hands around to gently give some resistance as you pull down and fold forward. You should feel this in the hips, maybe on the inside of the inner thighs, and definitely feel some working in the back. Keep pushing the tailbone back even as you soften. Imagine you can breathe both into the back of the body and the sides of the body. So imagine both the back and sides getting longer. And with every exhale, just soften in more deeply. Take 2 more breaths here. Start to walk the hands in when you're ready and stack the vertebrae one on top of the other. You'll extend the legs long and start to work down to your back. When you get down to your back, just connect the whole body down and then start to extend the arms along overhead. We're going to start to move the feet over to the bottom right corner of the mat, maybe even crossing the left leg over the right, taking the arms over to the top right corner of the mat. So you're making a C shape with the body. You'll feel a big opening through the left side of the body, and I want you to imagine you can breathe space in there. Imagine that you're breathing space in between the low ribs and the left hip bone. As you soften into the pose, maybe you can dig a little more deeply over to the right side by keeping the body long and breathing into that left side body. Inhale back to center, uncross the legs, and reset. We'll keep the arms long as we start to take the feet over to the bottom left corner of the mat, maybe crossing right leg over left, and start to take the hands over to the top left corner of the mat. Again, we're breathing into that right side body. Imagine you can create more space in between the right low ribs and the right hip as you stay long. Inhale back to center, unwind the legs, and start to bring the soles of the feet to the ground. We're going to move the feet about an inch or two a little bit wider than hip distance, but not as wide as the mat. We're going to start to come to windshield wipers and make them larger and larger until the right knee comes down to the right side of the body and the left knee hovers into the space in between, coming to a variation of supine twist. Arms can come shoulder distance. And what we're looking to do is just keep extending and flexing through that left hip flexor. So you want to find a lot of length, a lot of relaxation from sitting, and just breathe into the mat. Try to let gravity do the work versus forcing it. And keep breathing the spine long. Inhale, start to come back to center slowly at your own pace. Make sure that feet are reset if you need, just ever so slightly wider than hip distance as we start to take those windshield wipers again, just rotating on the sacrum. When you're ready, start to drop the left knee down. Let the right knee hover in the space between, and you should feel a big stretch on the front of the right hip now. Arms staying in a T or in an inverted Y. And just let gravity do the work. Try not to force it. Wherever you are is fine. There's no gold medal in supine twisting, so just breathe in there. Inhale slowly, taking all the time you need, bringing the legs back into center and taking any final windshield wipers of the knees that you like, or maybe even hugging the knees into the chest. If you want a traditional shavasana, you can extend the legs long or come to a seated position for meditation. If you'd like to grab a cushion or some other support to make that easier, you're welcome to. Find your spine long and tall, sit bones rooted, and just bring yourself back to your breath. Start to bring your hands to your heart center. Namaste in its simplest form means the light within me sees and humbly bows to the light within you. Dropping the chin towards the chest, bringing the thumbs to the third eye center, and bowing forward to seal your practice. Namaste.